Ladies and gentlemen, Unscripted with the crack man, Bill Krackomberger.
Oh, yeah. He's not here live, but he's still
Don't call it a comeback. Billy, how you doing, man?
Hey, guys. A little under the weather. I don't know. It's going around, though. I know so many people sick. I've never, ever known anyone so many people sick at one time. It's all around the Las Vegas poker rooms and the Las Vegas casinos. And not only that, I know people coast to coast. I know people in Manhattan Beach sick. I know people that are on the East Coast, New Jersey, Virginia, Florida sick. So I'm not that bad right now, but I had like an inner ear infection, and I just wanted to be safe and call it one more day at home. And just a cough for like a month and a half. And let me tell you something. I'm pretty lucky. I don't get sick. You guys see I come in there with my little black bag of medical kit of different things every week. And I take a lot of vitamins and a lot of things to boost my immune system. And I mean, it's funny. I was just going to make up as you could see here, this is all my, that's just vitamins, really. There's one pill, but besides that, I take about, 15 vitamins a day. And I've been pretty good for 5 years. Never had COVID, never had, never been really sick in the last 5 years. So, but anyway, it is what it is, and we'll get over it. And it's amazing you guys. I think you built up your resistance before the show, Gill. You said something good.
Yeah.
It's true. There could be walking around casinos.
I think if you walk around casinos every day, and we work in a casino, and we're not in an enclosed studio here, this just in, then I think we are in some ways inoculated from just the germs because we're so germy to begin with. Let me ask you a question here as we head into Week 18, Bill. Are you sweating anything NFL-wise? Like, do you do season-long stuff?
Oh, my God. The things I'm sweating. This is the biggest week of action as far as, because I'm still in a lot, these contests. I have 10% of two guys that are in the top 40, both of them, one being Fez, like but also I have percentages of another guy that I'm on the cusp of, and myself, my own entries, I'm in 101st in millions and 173rd, I think. And I thought after last week, I just said, it's over. We're done. I just figured, but it just so happens that the top 200 from last week, the bulk of them in millions went 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So they did terrible because somehow I went 2 and 3 and I stayed the same, and that's how bad. So now strategy comes involved, and I'll tell you. Now what the entry I have that's 101 is 1 out of the money. The money's $2,000. Well, guess what? From my place to 50th place is only a 1 game difference. And do you know what that money is? That's $12,000. So now you say, wow, I'm only a few games out of the top 10. But of course, that would be a miracle. That's not, you can't do it. So anyway, even if I went 5-0, I'm not going to do that. But I'd love to get top 25. It looks like you could do that by now. Do you take those teams? In other words, what I mean by that is, a lot of the guys take the line moves. So a line is, let's say, the Cleveland game. So they'll have Cincinnati minus, 5.5. Now that's not the line. I'm just saying that. Let's say that's 5.5. But by game time, it's 7. Well, and that game did move early in the week, but let's say it moved later in the week. So now what'll happen is most of the sharper guys the guys that have been winning all year or that's been winning for them, taking that line move, they'll have the Bengals minus 5.5. And now here we are, day of the game at 7. There's even a couple 7.5s out there. So what do? You can actually do the opposite to gain back those games. What you're doing is 2 things. You're going to pick the Browns plus the 5.5, the bad line. Hope you get lucky and win that. Not only do you win and have a gain of 1 game on the field, you might have a gain of 2 games on the field because all the guys above you you would hope would take the line move and the Bengals. So,
well, I think, yeah, because, I'll quote my buddy Joe Pita, who's a frequent guest on the show. Basically,
Yeah.
basically the marker that you can make with something like Millions is if you go 3-2, you usually gain a half point on the field. If you go 4-1, you usually gain roughly a game and a half. And if you go 5-0, you soar. You gain like 2.5 points, on the field. That's usually the metric at how you should think of it. And if you're in 101st, again, top 100 make money. The real money, quote unquote, is in the top 10, right? Like that's the real money. Someone like you don't care if you fit. You don't care that if I finished 85th, you say, hey, I cashed. But like that doesn't really move the needle for you. So I do think that you should absolutely, like if you were in first place or second place, as you say, you play, the standard. Oh, if I have the best of it on the circa static line, then I play that. But I think, one of my plays is I have Baltimore on Saturday. And Baltimore is playing their backups, and they're catching 4, Bill. And they're playing a Steelers team that is in not a sacred must-win situation, because there is one scenario or a couple scenarios where if they lose, they can still get in. But they're highly motivated to win this football game and increase their chances of getting in the postseason, whereas the Ravens have nothing to play for. And I'm taking the points. So, to me, that's one of those games where I think is kind of counterintuitive, where I think you do consider playing. If not that one of the others, similarly.
So those two games on Saturday, Gill, that you're speaking of, which are, by the way, they're less than, not less than, they're like 48 hours away from playing here. I wrote down a note, a rare note on an unscripted show here, because I wanted to talk about this. Maybe I'll do it when we get back to the break. But let me ask you something. So you're saying Pittsburgh's highly motivated, but yet you're taking the Ravens? Did I hear you right?
Yes.
Okay, because the point spread just too much. Up to 4 points now. It's just too. Yesterday the move came in after they announced Jackson sitting. It went from 3.5 to a solid 4. A couple sports books toggled back to the 3.5. But you're saying you actually do like the Ravens in that spot,
yeah,
because there's a lot of backups that are trying to get jobs next year too. People forget about that. These guys are playing for their lives, for their livelihood, for their families also.
Well, it just when teams are in must-win situations versus teams, and again, it's not 100% must-win, but it's mainly a must-win for the Steelers against a team that has nothing to play for. The market brain, right, the average person's brain immediately toggles to, well, must-win versus doesn't have anything to play for. Clearly the must-win team, and it's just never that easy. And I think this is the perfect example of that. We'll come right back, Bill. Whatever your note is, we'll get into that.
Sure.
Bill Krackomberger joins us once again, unscripted with the Crack Man, Bill Krackomberger. Before we move on, Bill, just one thing occurs to me, because, you casually threw out, hey, I'm 101st, and I'm 179th in circa Millions. And there's got to be a portion of the audience, and forgive me on this, but there's got to be a portion of the audience that's like, how is Crack he doesn't really even handicap. He's 101st, he's 179th. And then we know our buddy Randy McKay is doing very well. We know our buddy Steve Fezzik is trying to cash big time in this as well. Why is this, to the average person listening, the average bettor, why are you guys just better at this? Why is the Las Vegas Chris's of the world better at this than most?
Yeah, I haven't even checked with Chris. I'm sure he's up there too. Well, let me just, I'm not giving away no secret sauce here. I talked about it in the first segment a little bit. I look at the lines when they come up, and I look at the lines, I'm talking about the circle lines when they put it out, the contest lines, and then I'll try to look Saturday at the latest possible time, which is 4 p.m., but I don't go that late. I'm more working on it around 12 to 1 p.m., and I'll look to see what line has moved. But I like to use key numbers more than just like line moved from 5 and now it's 5.5. I like to see if anything moved from like 6.5 to 7, maybe 3 to 3.5 or 2.5. And I'll use just basically it's market capping.
Yes.
So it's just capping the market more than actually going in deep into the games at what it is versus that particular time. Now, this doesn't work every year.
Right.
Some years just so happens that the line moves don't cash. And how about this? You'll have 7 or 8 of them sometimes to look over. and you have to only pick 5. So now you have to pick the 5 which you feel are the best. So you have to put your own, your own human feel, the human element of it into the contest. And let me talk about the biggest factor. That's right, luck. Luck.
Bam.
There's a ton of luck involved. It's not. It doesn't make us no geniuses. Sam Grizzle. I don't know if anyone knows that name. He was a poker guy. He died. But Sam told Phil Hellmuth once on TV. He's like, did you ever think that you're just one of those poker goofballs that run good? That's what Sam told him on TV. And sometimes you just got to run good. It's true. I mean, there's a large luck factor to contests too, not just looking at these episodes. So think about the combination of those things.
I think that is, Bill. I think you gave a great answer. And
Cool.
I think it's so good that I want to repeat some of the details of it, because I think this is for the newer bettors, or for the average bettor who is not really a contest veteran. I think this is such a great point, which is again, not sacredly, but in general, the best contest players wait till as close to the deadline as possible. You want as perfect information as you can get, in other words, with injuries, but primarily with the lines. So you're playing this mechanically. It's market capping than you are what we talk about. The content that we fill hours with is trying to handicap individual games. Well, with contest players, you're really approaching it a different way. It's more of a market cap that way. So that's not the sexiest answer for people. A lot of people, are fans, and they want to talk about the X's and O's and what they think is going to happen in a game. That's not the general thing that consistently successful contest players are doing. The other part is also is the other part that needs to be emphasized: luck. You have to be able to just accept that, and we talk about this in Survivor a lot too, which is a whole nother form of luck, right? Where I said, there's always one person that's not going to chop because they think it's them. But in these contests, in the handicapping contest, the millions, where you have to pick 5 games, the Megapod is a great example. I have Brad Feinberg as our guest on the Megapod today from Philly. On the Megapod this year, I am 34-16-1. Okay, 34-16-1, because we go 3 picks deep. Now, you can say to yourself, have I been fortunate picking the right 3 games in the Megapod? Probably. There's an element to that. But if I extend it to 5 picks, and I'm doing Circa Millions, which I have, I can't even get to 60%. So it's a difference between, 68% versus I can't get to 60%. Now, what does that mean? That means, have I been a little unlucky picking my 4th and 5th? Probably so as well. So you just have to, and I'm not doing it the way you guys are doing it. I'm just doing it strict handicapping what I feel. But the point that you made in the middle there needs to be emphasized too, because it's a 3-point thing. It doesn't work every year either, that approach. So some years it does. The market just, if you get the best of it, you're going to cash at a rate that allows you to be towards the top of a contest. But that ain't science either. But will it get you there more often than the average handicapper will do, just handicapping games by him or herself? Yes, probably so, over a long period of time. And I think that's a great answer to that question, Bill, because I do think there's a lot of people who's like, how is Crack up there? How is Fez always up there? How is Las Vegas Chris always up there? What's the magic? There's no magic. Smart guys, everybody, don't get me wrong. But that's what y'all are doing.
But by the way, and this is why you have to have luck, because even with the line moves, you're going to go what? Okay, have a good season and go 3-2 on every one of them, and that's having an unbelievable season. That's not going to get you the money in Circa Million. Nope. It's not even going to get the money. You have to have that luck factor involved there still to get the money there. So
Kelley and I have a rule. We have a rule on this show. If you're not 60% in millions, you don't even talk about your entry. There's no point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
Okay, there was another thing. There's another thing with Week 18. Let me just sort of give the preamble here, Bill. With Week 18, there's a lot of different quirks that we don't necessarily talk about. We talk about it being strange with all these backup quarterbacks are playing. Some teams have something to play for, other teams don't. There's a lot of quirks with Week 18. One has to do with sports books, which is, they have a lot of season-long liability to some of the year-long bets. And so sometimes those books will shade Week 18 lines based on that kind of liability. We don't often talk about that. The other thing is there's player incentives, and you have something on that.
Yes. But, someone just texted me something. He's right. Those line moves, just to show you how that doesn't always work. Let me get to this first. If you followed the bowl season and the bowl line moves, oh my God.
Not one of them
moved 8, 9, 10 points.
Yeah.
And none of them, on a high rate, did not cash. I mean, you got destroyed. He said under 35%. He's right on line moves for the bowls. Don't ask me how I actually danced through the raindrops and went 13-3 on releases somehow. I have no idea. But so he's right, though. But the line moves aren't always gospel. So, okay. So let's go talking about these games this weekend. Here, you can just tell now. I wrote down this 48 hours. I know what that means. So we have games starting approximately 48 hours from now. The books won't even put the first halves up yet. I mean, just think about that.
Mm-hmm.
They won't even put the first. Normally now you have first halves for Sunday's game. No, there's like 2 books that have first halves for Sunday's games. I mean, it's unbelievable. Normally, and that's because you want to know why. There's so many different moving parts here for first halves and first quarters. There could be some really good opportunity betting. Now, not as many as previous years on Week 18, but there could be a lot of different incentive-wise. That's incentives for more for the players and player props. But some teams we don't know if they're resting their starters, or maybe they just announcing now, like they announced Lamar and they announced maybe Purdy and the San Fran team. But there's situations here. Do you want to keep your starters, inactive for a couple of weeks because if you won like a division, and you had like one of the top seeds? So it's kind of interesting thing. I'll just tell you guys this. Normally on Sundays, the market is so efficient that the closer to game time, the more I don't respect the line moves. And 10 minutes before the game, 20 minutes before the game, that could be just books trying to get in line for what risk they have. Not so for this Sunday. I would respect the line moves, any big line moves this weekend on Sunday even, more than I would the other 17 weeks. So there's a lot of weather situations. There's a lot of resting player situations. I would just watch, and I'm talking about early Sunday morning. I think there could be some good opportunities to grab some low-hanging fruit from those slower-moving sports books around the nation. I'll just tell you that this weekend is really unique. Normally one of the greatest weekends for player props, Week 18. Normally one of the greatest weekends for betting in general. Volume-wise, I usually have a lot of different bets. So just pay attention to the line moves. And what I mean is right now, just take a copy of the circle lines. Just take a copy of them. Make a copy of them what they are now. Pull them up Sunday morning, see where they went, and try to follow one of those line services.
It's a great point. It's a great point about the weather, too. Right now with the forecast, it looks like the most difficult weather for football, meaning high mile per hours and winds, is going to be in Baltimore Saturday, where the total has dropped to 35, and in Foxborough on Sunday, where the total is, 30.5 right now? But weather changes, to Bill's point. So if it, in fact, turns out to be not that bad, you might see a swing upward in that. Keep track of all of that, of course. More with the Crackman on the other side, Bill Krackomberger, at Bill Crackman with the K on Twitter. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Blue Hen Bill thinks I'm orchestrating the award segments. He says, so how about putting a Flacco voter on the show? No kidding. The Flacco numbers were going down until your 2 AP voters came on the show. Congrats, Gill. You moved the line. Better put in a Hamlin hedge. I don't know what these guys are thinking when they come on the show.
Yeah, seriously. We're just glad we've talked to two actual voters.
That's right.
We don't know what they're going to say. We
Just-
know what we're going to ask them. We don't know what their
that's right.
answers are going to be.
We know what we're going to ask. We don't know what they're going to come back with. Jesse Welch, I was the one that tweeted in after Flacco's third start saying that I couldn't stop firing bets in at 100-1. Considering what your voter guests have said this week, I heavily hedged on Hamlin yesterday. I think that's appropriate. Sources say, lost in history, the ref aided Skins' victory in the 83 NFC Championship game. First of all, sources say, how dare you? What he's referring to, by the way, what he's referring to is after the 83 season, the Skins were after they were 0-5 in 1981, they won 36 of their next 42 games. The 36th of them was this championship game against the Niners where the Skins went up 21-0. Niners caught them 21-21, and then questionable calls on the final drive got the Skins the game-winning field goal. All right. And then Jeff Isaacs. I did the DraftKings $500 pick'em for the first time. My goal was 58%. Finished at 61%, 49-31, which returned 3 times my entry fee. However, luck could have been the difference by 55% and getting nothing, and 65% and getting more. That's the NFL, 100%.
Yeah, totally. Good breakdown right there.
Absolutely right. And you just have to be able to accept that.
It was not a good breakdown. It's a good way to be looking at it if
Yes.
you're in one of those contests.
Well, yeah, because, by the way, here's Cleve TA was pointing out something here as well. 15 straight seasons, an underdog of at least 3.5 points has won outright in the final week of the regular season. 14 of the last 15 final weeks, a dog of 5+ has won outright. That's, again, sort of buttressing our point of a lot of those games are going to be teams, the teams that are dogs or teams that have nothing to play for versus teams that have everything to play for. And this one, Bill, we'll bring you back in for this. This is Chris of St. Bart's, a longtime listener, who says, hey, guys, any sports you just won't bet on either because you don't like it or just never see value? Thanks. Bill, anything that you won't bet on?
You know, it's amazing. One of the hardest things that I have known to beat over the years is the big-time soccer league. Now, I'm talking about, you know, the one that everyone bets that has so many eyeballs on it. You guys would know the name of the league.
The Champions League, the Premier League?
Yeah, of course, Premier League. I meant Premier League. No, that is. I know it's the biggest sport worldwide, but I think there's so many eyeballs on that. I think the market is as efficient as an NFL Sunday football game betting it on Sunday. So I don't mess with that. But yet there's people that swear that they win and they just listen. The smaller little. I've gotten some phone calls from some guys about these smaller little soccer leagues sometimes, and I never even heard of these teams. And if I can get down on them, and usually no one will have that up, but because there's something going on there or here. But as far as those big soccer games, but yet.
Let me ask a variation.
Gil,
yeah.
Did you bet that, Gil? Do you bet soccer a little bit?
No, not
when it's
generally.
World
I don't.
Cup or anything? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it when it's World Cup or Euro Cup, but not with anything serious.
And you're tailing someone there, right? I mean,
not necessarily.
Okay,
like I'll consider myself all of a sudden an auto expert, right? Like after watching 2 games, I just don't do it that seriously. I'll ask it a different way, and this will apply to both of you and Kelley. Do you find that the older you get, what you bet on narrows, or times of year it narrows into certain sports? Because I find that with me, that's the case, right? Like, and I'll do it even with casino games. Like in my 20s, I did all this stuff that's out there. In my 30s, then that narrowed. And by the time, now I don't play any of them, right? Like for years, I haven't played any of these casino games. You play a lot of video poker. You guys still dabble in that stuff, but I don't at all. And then even in my sports betting, I will find that I used to bet, like NBA, I would bet in November and December. I don't bet any NBA at all anymore these times of year. You, as a Kelley?
Yeah, I think what you said of maybe I'd be more aggressive and get more intrigued by trying to branch out and try to do. Yeah, no, I just stick to what I know now,
which is basketball and golf.
Yeah, basketball, golf, and then just like everybody, we all try to beat the NFL, right? We all think we can do it every year.
Bill?
Excellent. I like the way you reworded this whole thing. It's really set me up for a better answer too. Yes, of course. I'll bet more at the beginning of any season when it's more of an inefficient market in the college sports, college basketball, college football. Now I'll slow down as we get into February and until conference tournaments. But then I will bet the first 2 rounds of March Madness, and people will be like, wow, that's the most exciting time of the year to bet. Well, it is an exciting time for Joe Public. I'd rather be betting preseason football or first week 2 to 3 weeks of college basketball than I would March Madness round 3 or go into the finals or semifinals. I'm looking to make money here. I'm not looking just to have fun on betting sports. But as far as NBA sides and stuff, I don't even bet them.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that can beat them. I don't know anyone that can beat NBA sides. The one person I did know has slowed down so much that he's not even winning. So I don't know anyone that could beat NBA sides. I just don't. So NBA sides, I stay away from. Some totals I'll mess with once in a while. I more stick to those secondary markets of props and stuff like that. But that let's just be blunt. That gets you in trouble. Imagine all you're doing is posting your money. You're not even laying 11 to 10. You're laying on average 11.5 or 12 to 10. But yet the sports books do not like when you play props. They do not like it. They will limit your account severely. They will throw you out. They will limit you at the counter. It's there for the average Joe. I see less and less of these type of bets the last 5 years. And to be real honest with you, I think Gill, and when we were talking on the phone during the week, like I wouldn't recommend being a pro sports bettor or trying to go pro to almost anybody. Like my kids.
We talked about this, yeah.
If I had children, I would not want them in this market. I mean, how about you have to win your money a few times?
You got to win your money a few times, yeah.
Oh, it's hard enough winning 55, 56, 57%. Now you have to hope to get paid. And that's right. What I tell you is right. You have to hope to get paid. I'll just recommend this too. Make a copy of every single bet. If you bet high volume, like this week I'm betting high volume, make sure you make a copy of every single one of your bets and pray you get paid. I'll tell you.
And this is the conversation that Bill and I had, that it's just, you do have to get paid twice, sometimes 3 times, by the way, in certain circumstances. But I also have brought this up before too, and probably haven't done so in a while, so I should again, which is the biggest asset you can have to me as a sports bettor is also adapting. Let's take Rufus as a guy. Rufus is a guy who does everything by model, and that works for him, and that's how his brain works, and it's wildly successful for him. But for the average person who is not having a model in front of them, I do think you have to be adaptable. Like we just went through college bowl season. I made a lot of money in college bowl season strictly in-game betting, right? Because the nature of college bowl season lends to that. College football as a sport lends to it, but the bowl season with the transfer portals, and you don't know really what you're going to get until you actually sit down and watch it. I don't know how you went 13-3 pre-flop. That's amazing. But in-game, I believe you had to adapt to that. But that's a moment in time. That doesn't shift now to any other sport and be like, well, I'm just going to in-game bet everything. No, you find other ways to beat other sports, and I think that's what's so fascinating about sports betting, is that it's always a puzzle you're trying to solve, and it's never just one thing. It's never, I must bet ATS pre-flop on everything. I am a robot full game, and that's how I'm going to win. You'll never win that way. You'll never win long-term that way. And so I think that's the biggest asset I believe you can have if you're betting stuff year-round.
I will look to take a deeper dive into live wagering starting next season. It's just so many things that we do. It's so hard to, but I will take a deeper dive into that against the slow-moving sports book. By the way, you don't even have to know anything. Just going against a slower-moving sports book. I know a guy that makes a good living just doing that. Yeah. So that will be for next year.
And we talked about successful contest players. That's different, although they would say we're also successful bettors, but it could be different from being, a successful bettor. James Salinas is very clear about that. He's good at one thing, maybe not as good as the other. Bill, thank you. We appreciate it. Feel better.
Thank you.
The great Bill Krackomberger, at Bill Crackman with a K on Twitter. Wisecracks, the name of the podcast.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.